Yeah. What is going on, beautiful people? Welcome back. It's your boy Blue for the Blu-XPerience, and we got our homie XP72. And as well, we have a special guest today from XCrafts, Marko Mamula. Hopefully, I said that right. All the way from Europe, all over Europe. What's up, man? Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. I really appreciate you inviting me here. It's a real honor. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Absolutely,
Absolutely.
man.
You notice, guys, we noticed we didn't waste any time. We're like, we want to get to it right now because Marco's got so much to say about the upcoming X-Crafts range of airplanes coming out that he's been working on, and we couldn't wait. We saw this at Flight Sim Expo. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. We didn't expect it. And so we're like, hey, let's get them on the show. Let's get them on the Blu-XPerience. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. I appreciate you guys hanging out with us on a Thursday for a few hours that we discuss and talk flight sim issues, man. And definitely looking forward to it. So I already have my glass of coconut water with ginger ale. That's it. Blue, what are you having, man?
I got some nice room temperature purified drinking water from Kroger. If you guys in the U.S. know what that is. What you drinking, Marko?
I just got normal water here, but I was actually thinking of a carton of milk because I think that makes you, like, if you've got an itchy throat, that would really help, but it would be really weird if I was drinking like from a carton of milk, so it's just gonna be water.
I mean,
Exactly.
you could have brought the carton. You could have
Well,
brought the
maybe I
carton.
will at some point, you never know.
Exactly,
I
man.
think I would
Depends
have
on
really
heated
had
it's
a.
gonna get.
I would have had a nice laugh. I would have saw you with a big old carton of milk and a milk mustache. That'd been nice.
That would have been good, man. Absolutely. By the way, Marco, where you're in England now?
Yeah, so I'm in London. That's where I live. That's where I'm based. But I'm originally from Czech Republic and Serbia. Well, I'm half Serbian, half Czech. I was born in Italy, and I live in London. And so yeah, that's why I'm from all over Europe.
Really and truly. So it's what it's almost what 11 o'clock midnight by you now.
It's midnight here. Yeah.
Jeez, thanks for staying out, man. I appreciate it. We won't keep you up too late. Maybe not, but we'll see.
Well, we'll see.
But welcome to the show. I mean, I'm trying to figure out where to start here, but let's just say the ERJ airplane. I mean, we have it in X-Plane 11 now. I've flown it before, but when did you start in the simming thing? How did you come about starting with the ERJ series of aircraft?
So I started about 8 years ago, I think. It really started when I had just an iPod Touch, and on it, I mean,
Throwback.
actually, it started way before, to be
Wow.
honest, because I am from all of Europe. I always had to travel to see, members of my family. So I flew for the first time alone without parents when I was 5, and then I had to fly several times a year. So I just became obsessed with airplanes. Really, at least I think that's where the obsession comes from. But so I remember playing some like F-16 games back when I was like a little kid. But then I had the iPod, and I downloaded this thing called X-Plane, and which I've not heard of before. And so it was cool. It was pretty simple, but I was enjoying it flying around. And then whenever it was loading, it said, "Hey, we also have a desktop version. Come and check it out." So that's what I did. Basically, I went, downloaded a desktop version, and started really getting more into the simming world. And I was just really fascinated because before I was just flying the F-16s for fun left and right, and now I started learning how it's really supposed to be done, and it was just really interesting. And I don't remember how long it took, but pretty quickly I think I started making liveries for other add-ons, because I always loved Photoshop and I was always playing with that. And so I saw that I can actually start making liveries. I think the first livery I made was with me and like the whole plane was covered with my friends' faces. It was just our faces, the whole fuselage.
Classic.
And I thought that
Wow.
was just amazing. So so then I was yeah, I just kind of started making liveries for the A3 QPAC A320 back. I think that was X-Plane 9.
Is wow.
And I don't even remember which all the planes were. I think there was a 757, I think, which was pretty cool. I have no idea who made it. No idea if it was probably freeware. Don't remember. But anyway, I was just shocked that when I uploaded to the forum, like, 20, 30, 50 people downloaded delivery and they liked it. And I was like, this is crazy. People actually download this stuff. And so I was just really positively shocked. So I thought after a while, I was probably doing that for a year. All deliveries are still up on my profile. I haven't seen, it's been a lot of years. But at some point, I just thought it would be really cool to not only make deliveries, but to see how you can make the whole plane, for example. So don't really remember what the first thing was that I made. It was probably some kind of a GA plane. Maybe so I probably made something up like an aerobatics plane. And then I think I tried to make like a Dornier, but then pretty quickly I just went for the Embraer E195.
Wow.
And back then, honestly, I picked it just because I really liked the look of the plane back then. I thought it was a really cool looking plane.
I was gonna ask you about that. Why did you choose, out of all the aircraft that you could have picked, why the ERJ family?
Well, total coincidence, actually, yeah. When you think about it, like I really picked it because I thought it looked cool, and I thought I was gonna make a freeware E195, and just share it with the community and see how they like it. And so I started working on that. Obviously, still learning Plane Maker and learning everything else about it, learning 3D, because there's the thing. It's really like learning 3D from flight simulators is kind of like taking a long detour. Instead of most people learn 3D from like other like video games or like graphics and effects and stuff like that. And they mainly would like use Blender today, and all the community grew so much as well. But back then it was kind of much harder for me to learn it, because all the resources that I was looking for were all like flight sim related. So I remember it took me like weeks to realize how normal maps work and how you can get the details in the planes, and I just didn't get it. And I was reading all the things online, and I was just looking at the totally wrong places. But anyway, I just loved it. I was just consumed by it, because it was I finally found a passion. I just could not stop doing it. Actually, I had a girlfriend back then that I just was afraid to tell her that I really want to go home instead of being with her and just make this plane. And so I just couldn't tell her. So instead, I was with her until like midnight, and then I would go home, and then I would start working on it like throughout the night.
Oh my God.
Luckily,
real.
my current girlfriend is the best support ever. She understands this, and she's like my biggest fan. So that's
amazing.
just amazing.
Nice. Wow. Now, all of this done with a technical background, without a technical background? I mean, how did how did
yeah, so I just all self-taught really. I studied, well, when I was trying to figure out, I started making these plans right at the time when I was gonna study, and I just couldn't decide what to study. So in Czech Republic also, you don't really feel like you have that many options. You're either engineering or medicine or kind of law and economics and stuff like that, but you don't really think about all the hundreds of other jobs and really creative jobs. So I thought, okay, I loved Lego, and I spent all of my life playing with Lego when I was a kid, and I was running back home to play with that. And so I thought, okay, I probably like building things. So I thought, okay, I'll go to study mechanical engineering because that's where I'll be building stuff. So I applied to that, I got there, and I started studying, and I mean, it was fine. I just realized that I don't particularly enjoy any of those subjects. So after a couple of years when I was doing the undergrad, I was like, okay, I have to do the master's now, but which specific field of mechanical engineering should I pick? Because I didn't really enjoy any of it so much. Like the best class in my whole 3 years of the undergrad at the mechanical engineering was welding. And welding was for like 1 hour in those 3 years.
Wow.
It was so much fun. We just had pieces of metal and just weld them all together. in a totally random shape, and it was so much fun. Everything else was pretty boring, and I realized that because the welding had creativity in it, I could just create something out of almost nothing here. Whereas all the rest was very much, there just wasn't a lot of room for creativity, basically. And it took me a lot of years to realize that that's what I was missing. But once I kind of realized, okay, I really want to do something more creative, I decided to study visual effects. And I also realized that I totally skipped your question because you asked if I had the technical background. So basically, I didn't. I just started studying mechanical engineering, but that didn't really help me in making planes for X-Plane. Like maybe a little bit in flight dynamics, but we really didn't have that much of it in the undergrad. So I just had to learn it all by myself, really, from the forums and everything, YouTube and tutorials. But there weren't that many back then, so it was kind of it took a long time. But I guess it takes everyone a long time.
It's funny because interviewing a few developers of airplane, and nobody goes, I went to school to take airplane development. Everybody goes, I'm self-taught. I go and I try to figure it out. I do a resource. I do it wrong the first time. I do it 5 times until I get it. So it seems like you have the same path, You're following that path. How was your first plane? When you finished the first one? I don't know if you're ever finished, but how was it received in the community? The first plane you put out.
Well, it was interesting because I still thought it was gonna be freeware up until like maybe a year into the development, when I thought, okay, I've spent so much time. I ran too many times for my girlfriend for this plane. Maybe I should make it a payware airplane, actually. So I thought, okay, let's work on it a bit more and see, maybe I can sell it for $10 or something. And so I kept working on it. At some point, I got in touch with Nicholas from the store, who, he said, yeah, like a good effort, like it's not yet there, so keep working on it. And that really gave me an extra motivation. And so after probably another year or so, I don't even remember, it got to a point where it was good enough to go for, I think it was back in for $15 or $20 or something. So obviously it was, very, very basic. I still wasn't really sure what I was doing. But the community was really nice because they just gave me a lot of feedback, which was great. They didn't all say this is horrible. Like a lot of people actually enjoyed it. It was probably reasonably priced for what it was. But I really understood from that point the power of the feedback that they can give us, and it's so important. So that really allowed me to grow more and more, which was really, really great. And then, so, I just kept making updates. Until then, I didn't realize, oh, you have to make updates or you have to keep improving this thing. Like, I never thought of that before, So the version 1.0 was kind of, I don't know, maybe 70% finished, but, I don't know what 100% would actually be. It's still pretty basic.
I hate to cut you off just for a second. So what was that first payware E1, EJet project?
Yeah, it was the E195.
195,
Yeah.
and that was on the store. Yeah. You were mentioning you put it on the store as well.
Yeah, but this is like version 2.5 now, so that's
right. And then as far as timeline, this was back like X-Plane 10, X-Plane 9. Like when was this?
X-Plane 9. Actually, I'm not sure. I don't remember. Actually, it's a great question. I don't think
I'm trying to put a timeline to this, so finding out, like, because you mentioned you played X-Plane Mobile on an iPod Touch, which amazes me. And then that was your gateway to get into flight simming. It's always amazing to see how people get into flight simming. So you got in from an iPod Touch, and then you messed around with some liveries, just kind of summarizing some things. And then you say, hey, let me go try to make a really cool looking plane. So you decide to hop into the E195, and then you actually, something really interesting you said is that you approached the store about releasing it at a certain point where you thought it was kind of like, it's good enough. And he gave you some feedback, said, hey, it's a good effort, but you're not quite there. And then there's so much stuff that you've said already, and I don't know
I
if the
know.
people are paying attention. There's so
hold
much
on. I
stuff.
picked up on that part. He said Nick from explain.org turned him down for the store. And that's kind of good to hear in a sense
Yes,
where we're always talking about payware and payware quality and what's allowed to be sold on stores.
yeah.
And then you pay your money, and it's not good. So knowing that there's somebody there saying, "Hey man, this is not good to be sold," I actually like that.
I
And
don't
it
know
took you another
if that
it
still
took you
exists
another
today.
year. Yeah, it took you another year to go back and make it good.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a fair point. Like, people would be disappointed if they got what I had at that point.
Hmm.
It was definitely good that he told me just keep working on it, and it did really show to me that there is a point. Okay, I can actually make this. Just need to keep working on it. So I just kept working on it, kept working, and yeah, I do wonder how long it took afterwards. Probably another year, I think, or so. And then a day came when it went live, and I just could not believe that something that I loved doing at night or day, like nonstop, people just paid for it. It was just insane. I was shocked. Like, this was the dream come true. So I was just really, really, really excited, and that was as I was studying, as I started uni, really. So it also probably told me, okay, I really enjoyed this a lot more, because I thought, okay, if I'm going to be an engineer, I'm probably going to calculate a part of a, flap, and that's going to be my job. I want to do the whole plane. I don't want to just calculate a part of a flap. So guys, I'm gonna need to plug my laptop into this,
Oh,
because
man.
that tells me there's no battery. So bear with me for 1 second.
None of worries, man. Go ahead.
No
We don't want to
problem
lose
at
you.
Oh
all.
wait, actually, it should be right here. Where is it?
Hey, man. Welcome to the show. This is how we do it.
There
But
we
no,
go.
good. Awesome.
Back on the
There it
grid.
is.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll edit
Where
that
was
part
I?
out. No, we won't. No, you're saying that and I'm gonna follow up to that. You're saying that the response you got for finally putting in so much work in something that you produced from start to finish, not just a piece. You made it your own hands, your own time, avoiding your girlfriend, and then finally put it on the store, and people are paying you for it. And you're like, wow, this is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's where you were saying that now you realize that, hey, you had the power to do some stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And so from there, I that first version didn't even have any plugins. It was all like pretty much very basic. I was just using all of the functions that I get from Explain. I believe it was Explain 10 by that point. And yeah, throughout the time, I was looking for someone who could start making some plugins and writing plugins for me, because that's not the part that I really enjoyed and was never that interested in. And I also didn't really have time because I had to study as well. And then fast forward, I don't even know how long, how many months or years, but I know I was looking for quite a long time for someone who could make a custom FMS, which is so much harder than anyone thinks. Like, people are always like, "Do you have a custom FMS?" No, okay, go. Like, we don't care about this.
Please
But people don't
explain.
understand how hard it is to find a person, a software developer who understands, like, who knows aviation, who understands how planes work, who knows Explain, who has the time to do this and who's willing to do this. And like, there's so many tick boxes. It's almost like impossible to find someone like that. So, and people don't understand this. I feel they're like, they just think it's gonna happen like this. Well, not really. No, it's really, we are really such a niche market and like a area of software development that is just really hard. And I talked to so many people, and they didn't know how to do it, and they wouldn't be able to do it. So after a long time, actually, I got in contacted by Steve Wilson, who said, "Okay, I don't think I can do the FMS, but you're also looking for someone to make a custom, like a pushback plugin for you, and I think I can do that." So that's when Steve joined in. He made the pushback truck, and from then on, he started making, you know, more and more things. Like, I wanted a menu, I wanted a I don't even remember in which order it was, but basically that's how when Steve joined. and that was great. And after some time, he said, you know what? Actually, I think I could give the FMS a go. And it's still a very, very complex thing. So he said, okay, let's start with a more simple version, which isn't going to be the exact authentic version, but it's going to give people the ability to fly and give them the function that they need. So that's how, you know, the E195 really started in the beginning. And then from then on, we made the E175, which was like just already a generation further. We learned so much in the process. I knew how to model much better. Didn't have a million polygons anymore, so the frame rate would be much better. And so from then on, we made the 175. Then we made the E195 to match the quality of the E175. So that was version 2. Then version 2 of E175, and so on, so forth, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, back to the FMS, because I can be accused of being one of those people who goes.
I was gonna admit it too.
If you don't have a custom FMC or FMS, I don't like the plane, you know. And then I realized that based on talk with you guys, that it's hard to produce. Like for your ERJ, I mean, how do you get the resources, the information, what the pages look like, what it's supposed to do? How do you get that stuff?
Manuals and pilots mainly. Videos of the pilots actually programming the FMS are really helpful, because if you just have the, you know, the pages and the description, it makes a lot more sense when you see someone program it, and just so the videos are really, really helpful. So we're working with, you know, a bunch of real EJet pilots, as well as we were with the ERJ pilots. Mainly with one, Mike. He's really awesome. I'm really glad he's with us. So if Mike's gonna see this, hi.
Well, I mean, having said that, well, let's jump to it. Let's jump to the new generation. Let's start. You went over the history of how you got into X-Plane, iPod Touch, and so forth. Let's get into what got us excited at FlySim Expo is the new generation. I'm going to call it a new generation. What would you call it? The new ERJs are going to be coming out. What would you call it?
They are the EJets family.
Okay.
Because we have the ERJ family, that's the E135, E140, E145, Legacy 650. So that's the ERJ family, and now it was a bit hard. I needed to find a way to clearly distinguish what is the old EJets and now what is the new EJets. So it's just gonna be EJets family.
Okay. And what is the difference between the two, the old and the new? And I mean, break it down for us. What are we expecting to get with the new family?
Everything is entirely new, like from scratch, basically.
Wow.
Yeah, because when we made the ERJs, those were really awesome, and people really liked them, and they really set the right course for what I wanted X-Crafts to be. They looked so much better. They were much more advanced. The ERJs are still a pretty simple plane in general in real life, so it's pretty, like, people like it. It's pretty easy to pick up and just start flying with it, even though if you don't really have a lot of experience with it or with other payware planes. So so when we made those, I thought, okay, the next step would be the EJets, because I just thought that they were horrible. I was pretty embarrassed with them at that point, and so I just thought, okay, there needs to be something done with that. So at first I thought I would just update the cockpit and the avionics and just make it a version 3 at that point. But the problem was when I then started remodeling this thing, and at that point you have to think, like, the ERJs took another 3 years from start to scratch, in which time I couldn't really work on the model of the EJet before. So in those 3 years I also went through VFX school, and I learned so much more. So my skills were in a totally different level, as well as Steve's. So I started modeling the cockpit of the EJets family now, and now I had the right dimensions as well. Like, you also have to think, when you see a cockpit and you have to model it, how do you know how wide or tall a knob is, like, or a button? Like, you don't really ever get those dimensions anywhere. Like, you have to basically eyeball it, and the more eyeballing you have to do, the worse the model is going to be. So when you just look for resources online, it's really hard to get any dimensions of the cockpit. So you kind of have to make the fuselage and then just try to fit it in there. But this time that's maybe the thing that I learned from engineering school. I really wanted to make sure that I have as many dimensions as possible. So at that point, I already had a big group of EJet pilots, and I would just draw schematics and pictures of the cockpit and just draw like arrows and say, okay, can you give me this dimension, this distance from this to this?
Wow.
At which point, instead of having, I don't know, 4 dimensions, I would have like 35 different specific things. And then it also, you can make sure that it fits better, but it's still like, you have to make a puzzle, but you don't even know how big each puzzle piece is supposed to be. So it's just, this is so much complicated than people think. So I really hope that people try to think about it a bit more when they sit in the cockpit and just look at all those buttons that every one of them took, hours to figure out, and days probably.
Wow.
So anyway, I realized that when I suddenly made the cockpit at the very, very accurate dimensions, it just didn't fit in the old fuselage because the windows were in a different place and
Oh, wow.
the windshield didn't fit. And how do I do this? So I thought, okay, there's no other way. I have to remake the fuselage. But if I remake the fuselage, then the belly's not gonna fit. I have to remake the belly. If I do that, I have to change the wings and then the engines, and the gear is not gonna fit in there. So I realized, okay, well, I just need to make the whole plane from scratch, which was the best idea and best thing to do, really, because the old model was just wrong. And so that's what I did. Actually, I think this would be a good time for us to share what I wanted to show you.
Yes, of course.
How different the old model and the new model is. So
Right. So basically, you started with a cockpit. Say, okay, I'm going to redo the cockpit. And once you got done with that, you realize, you know what, we have to just go to the full thing and redo the entire thing. That is crazy.
exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
The website, by the way, guys, if you want to look at a tool on your own at a time, it's xcrafts.com. xcrafts.com. But anyway, we're going to show you right now.
yeah. All right. So the first thing that comes up on the main page now is the EJets development. So if you just scroll down, you can scroll down all the way to about the development updates. So yeah, anyone who's interested, just come. Yes, you can stop here. So if you click on the compare all the new exterior.
Yeah, this is what I love about the website, the way it's done too.
This is really cool.
Okay, so if you go ahead and just reveal the new model,
Reveal.
basically.
Wow.
If you
Okay,
slide
so-
it across, you can see the different position of certain things as well. That shows you accuracy versus not having information to begin with. That's what I love.
Exactly.
Look at the wing.
Exactly.
You can see how it's offset just a little different in the older version and then the newer version now. Even the engine itself, just the position of it.
Everything was basically wrong. It was all there, but wrong. Wrong size, wrong angle. Like the wings were too wide, the engines were too small, the gear was too small, the tires. So if you scroll down, there's loads of pictures of the exterior.
Oh, wow. Love that rendering.
Yeah, so that's what I mean when I say everything is just done from scratch, because they need it to be done right.
Look at the engine
Yeah, look at
exhaust
the engine
area
exhaust.
too. Yeah, that is beautiful. And also go back, Blue. Okay, look at beside the, what do you call them? The pylons on the wing, on the side of the wing. You notice in the old version, it's tiny.
Yeah.
And in the new version, you actually can see the joint where when the flap is coming down, it's separated. Wow, that's a lot of detail. I just noticed that too. I actually am just noticing that, just looking at it in detail now. Just that alone, I mean, we love to go outside and spam outside views when we're flying these airplanes, and just to see the movement of that stuff is good.
Definitely.
I'm just
If you go down,
inspecting
to a
it
couple-
right now.
He's inspecting it.
Well, when I was showing this to Mike, who is the EJet pilot, he was pretty shocked, which made me very happy. He said, like, I could like basically do the walk around on this thing, which is exactly what I want. Like we even have pins on the brakes, because
Yep.
in the real plane we have a little pin that's basically the more you use the brakes, the shorter it gets.
Yeah.
The pin's there, so you'll
Ah.
probably see it on one of the next pictures as well. But
Okay.
yeah, so that's how it started, or started. point was, okay, let's just do the thing again and let's just do it right. And
Yeah, there's more details on the fan blade of the engine too. Go back up a second and we
they're
just see
totally
that.
different, basically. I think
Oh,
there
yeah.
may be even a
Oh
better.
yeah.
Yep,
There may be a bigger picture of the engine. I'm not sure now.
that is cool. Wow. Yeah, I love that the website has a slider bar that's to give you a better appreciation of just the amount of extra detail that goes along in that.
Actually, if you go lower, there's also the gear and the engine from up close.
Yep.
Here
Yeah,
you
the
go.
gear.
Yep.
That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, Mel in chat says that's amazing to see how X-Plane has come so far. A huge milestone for these
Wow,
planes.
look
Definitely.
at the gear, like the actual strut here. How much more detail is in the
Yep.
new one versus the old one?
The hydraulic lines are there.
Yeah.
Actually,
Oh,
I'm gonna
man.
show you something very cool because
Also, look at that. Like you said, the back of it, this part right here, that
Yep.
goes behind the wheel, was like super tiny in the old one.
yeah. Because
Very nice.
I just had to eyeball it, and so this time I was like, okay, it's got to be right. So problem was also that when the pilots take pictures of anything, the cameras on the smartphones today they have really wide lenses, which really distorts the picture. So in order to take a picture of the gear, they have to be really up close, but it makes the picture really distorted. So when I had to try to figure out the ratio of each part of the gear, it was really hard. Like if I would take 3 pictures, try to put them together, they just wouldn't align, and it also wouldn't really fit exactly into the belly, into the openings for the gear.
Hmm.
And in the end, it was amazing. But I managed to find this, which is a 1-to-10 model of the
Wow.
E175 gear.
What in the
Wait,
world?
hold on now.
Can you send me that? I'll pay for shipping. That is good. Where did you
This
find
is
that?
it was actually the company that makes the actual gear, Liebherr. They're German.
Mhm.
They just sell this on their website, which is just the
What?
coolest thing ever, I think. And I was really thinking, okay, am I stupid? I want to buy a huge model of a gear, but then I thought this is actually all my friends, my girlfriend, they were like, no, just go for it. This is the coolest thing. So now I have this thing living in my living room, and it's just awesome. And actually, then I would take pictures of it, and because it's quite accurate, and you can even like fold it and stuff. It's like I'm doing marketing for these guys, huh? But
That is the best
like
fidget spinner.
You
Oh
sold
my God.
me.
fold this, like you can even like retract it, and it's just really, really cool.
Oh, I
So you
want
can
that.
see all of this. So yeah.
What is the
Um,
website? Somebody says.
I want
Oh
to
my
know
God.
too. I want to know too. I want to check that out. Like, what other gear do
Wow.
they have? That's so cool.
That is
They
cool.
don't have other gear, just the E175. Like, what are
Wow.
the odds? It's unbelievable.
That's
Wow.
crazy.
That's pretty cool. Now, I gotta tell you, just now, in just our talk in the last 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and looking at these pictures, I'm actually more excited for this now that I've actually seen the modeling up close. Because I never really paid attention. I saw the presentation. I'm like, you guys are doing the new generation or the new family of it. But now I'm looking at the details going, yes, I gotta get this. And then this coincides with X-Plane 12 coming out, which is going to be even better. We're still going to talk a lot more about the plane, but just let me segue to X-Plane 12 a bit. It's going to be compatible with it, of course.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely, because everybody else
Like we that's what we'll need to see. How much work do we have to do in order to convert and make sure that it works
Oh,
in
here's the
X-Plane
engine.
12. Yeah.
Oh, baby.
let's look at this. Wow,
Look at the inside right here, right in head of the fan.
the
Yeah, there's
mesh
even
area.
like a little sensor. I don't know how it's called, but like up on top of inside of the engine, actually, there's like a little
This right
bit.
here.
Yeah, right there. Yeah.
Yep.
Can't really see it
Yep.
on that picture properly, but
Yeah,
it
I know
was
what
funny
is.
because when I was modeling this, I always came to a certain thing that was so tiny, and I thought, no one's gonna care about this. But then I added all those other little details. I can't just leave this little thing out. So I just always keep adding and adding little things. But I think it really is in the little things, because you look from it from distance, it all kind of looks similar. But when you look up close, those little details really make a big difference. So yeah,
I'm telling you,
really do.
people really do appreciate, especially people who actually live and breathe around the actual jet. You know, people like, you know, like if I weren't around the ERJs, I'd be like, oh, I wouldn't know much of a difference. You're looking at it from a long or a farther view. But like, if if you want the respect from the pilots who fly the plane in real life, or even the ground crew who are around the plane in real life, they see all these little details. And like, hey, where's that at? Or this is something that part of my everyday walk around. I look to make sure this thing is clean. So being able to do those small little details like you've done here in the engine cowling, like how you've done in the brakes, in the landing gear, like all that little stuff really matters, for sure. One thing I would like to ask you is like how, I mean, I know you're probably pretty far away from release, but like how is optimization going with all these little details in here?
it's a great question, because this is a bit.
Wow,
Wow.
nice cargo. That
They
cargo
literally
you live
didn't.
in.
Bro, that is my
I
life
think
right
it needs.
now.
I think it needs to get a bit dirtier though. I don't think there's enough scratches now. Looking
I
at
can
it.
live in that cargo area.
I agree.
True.
As a person who now works on the ramp and it spends a lot of time in cargo bays, you need to dirty that up. Put some
Yeah.
some stray baggage tags in there.
Yeah, definitely.
Some ranch
They're already
dressing.
straight. There is a baggage tag, a red one right above the door.
Oh, right
But
here.
I'll need to add more of them. Yeah.
Yeah, see, yeah, they're
Um,
dirty.
but yeah, a good question, because obviously with a much more detailed model, that means a lot more geometry, a lot more polygons, which means that the sim's going to need more power to run it.
Mhm.
But from the beginning, this was a super important thing, that that it needs to perform really well, because I would hate to spend literally, I don't want to spend the time doing something that then people won't be able to use. Like,
Yeah.
so it's really, really important that that the frame rate is going to be good. I was actually checking this yesterday. So the new EJets, let me just pull this up.
Wow. V1 Sim in chat, I don't cut you. He goes, my first commercial jet, he's a real world pilot, says, my first airline experience. I am very excited to finally see a proper representation of this beauty. Will the E195 also be part of the new gen? He was just about to say something about the new ones. Go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. All 5 jets are going to be part of the EJets family. It's going to be, sorry, Blue, there's also the cockpit
Where's the
section
cockpit
where you
one?
can compare all the news. So if you go back on the website, just go back. Compare all. No,
Oh,
there we go.
this one,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway.
So yeah, it's gonna be the E1, E170, E175, E190, E195, and the Lineage 1000, the business version as well.
There's a
Wow.
business version of the E195?
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
That's where you want to live in, not the cargo bay.
And look at
Look at the
X-Men
difference in the
9 graphics.
seating position, though.
Yeah. Wow. Man, oh man. Good old bicycle handles. Wow.
Good
I guess I'm
old
gonna have to. Anybody sells a bicycle handle yoke yet? I'm gonna have to get one of those. If it's
Yeah.
out there. This is good stuff, man. Absolutely. Look, I love looking at these, and I would be remiss to ask you if I didn't ask you this question. As we were looking at the pictures going, I'm just marveling at them going, yeah, I'm excited now. I can feel myself salivated for it. System depth. What is the expectations on system depth for these airplanes? As you know, the community now is filled with real world pilots or aspiring pilots. What are we looking at for that?
Well, we're looking at the first version is going to be at a level or above of the ERJ family. So the ERJ family is already quite far. Like, we don't have all the systems simulated, but basically all the important things for the real pilots are mainly there. So that's what we're going to go for with the initial release. And then, we always, what I want people to know is that when they get an X-Crafts product, they're always going to get ongoing updates, which, okay, we didn't really update the EJets for like 2 years, which made me feel bad. But then this was going to come, and it's really going to be worth it.
Let me stop you there, though, because when you released the ERJ family, you posted an update almost every other day when that first came out. And that was one of the things that I actually praised you or X-Crafts about when it came out, was that how often you, because there's a lot of things broken, as there always is when somebody releases something, because it just happens, right? Now you have thousands of people versus tens of people testing it, so you find bugs, and so you guys are very quick to respond on the forums to answer questions, and very quick to release updates. So I think as long as you keep that up, people are definitely going to keep coming back.
I think so. Like it's really important. Also, I'm hesitant to buy anything. I'm always very wary of, I'm worried that what if I buy it and I'm going to regret it. And I realized that people, when they buy any add-on for a flight sim, you don't really never know what you're going to get. That's why, for example, we have the E140 demo version, which is it's not operational, but you can get the model. You can just load it up in X-Plane for free. You can walk around and you can see what it looks like, and you will see the frame rate as well. Like it will be a bit lower when you actually run it with the plugins and instruments. But other than that, like I just want people to know that they will not be disappointed, or that they know what to expect. Because if you have expectations that are too high, then you'll always be disappointed no matter what you do. So we are trying to be very, very clear about what we are offering. And I really want people to know that they'll always get, a fair price, like always ongoing updates. They'll always get amazing customer support, because that's almost half of what we sell. We want people to know that they can come and just chat with us. I started using now like a metaphor that we want to be like a restaurant where the chef comes out of the kitchen and people can just chat with him and just tell him like, look, this meal was really great, or this meal wasn't so good. Could you maybe change this? Or like, thank you so much. Like, I want people to know that we want to be like that. Very as approachable as possible. They can always come and just complain, or tell us that they like something, or just chat. And so I'm trying to offer that we offer all of these qualities. Okay. Basically, so yeah.
A bunch of comments in chat was asking about, of course, the FMS, which is always, or FMC, which is always, one of the big questions. So you're saying the way when it's going to be released, at minimum, it's going to be above where it is right now, or somewhere close, and you're going to continue to work on it, or?
Yeah, but the FMS from the beginning, from the get-go, we're actually going to have 3 of them. We're going to have an authentic FMS, which is going to be based on the real FMS. It's not going to be a one-to-one replica, because we can't just, also for legal reasons, we cannot also realistically have absolutely every functionality, but it's going to look like the real FMS. It's going to form like it, basically like the other FMSs in X-Plane and in flight sims. So that's really important. Steve's working on that right now as we speak. He's doing a great job. So I'm very excited for that. It's not as straightforward as you'd think, really. So it's definitely going to require some time to learn this thing. So yeah, that's exciting. Then we'll basically going to have options. You can pick whatever FMS you want. You can have the authentic one. You can also have the Tecton FMS from the state that the EJets are right now, or you can have the default one. You'll probably have like a menu, and you can just pick whatever you want, because I realize some people still do use the default FMS, whatever it's like. So I want people to have options.
True. I mean, I did jump in the E195, and I have to tell you, having flown the Boeing in the sim and the Airbus, it confused me the first time. It's almost like, I want to say backwards, just different. The philosophy of it is different. So I can see where people would want to just something a little bit simplified. So I guess that's why you're providing the options to it. Makes sense. Definitely. Another question I had was about any kind of tablet, Avatab integration, anything like that you're thinking about?
Yeah, well, we'll definitely have Avatar, but actually now I also think that we will have an EFB, like a custom one.
Nice.
Which would be very nice. Hopefully one that is as like more realistic. Like some EFBs are not, they are kind of simplified and have big icons and stuff. So we'll probably have hopefully one that is just more like the real one that's on the real planes, or that people really use.
That is good. Yeah, Blue's over there just going crazy with the sliders here. It's just I'm looking at it, and
it's so much fun. Wow. I do it myself. I'm like, oh, this is actually really cool. I forget that I made this, so it's a lot of fun.
That is pretty cool. Definitely.
Can I mention one thing actually, because I forgot to say that before about the frame rates? So I was checking yesterday the performance, and I loaded in the same situation the old E175 and the new E175. So obviously the new one is a bit more demanding, but almost not at all, like not too much. So the interior of the old one was an average of 50 frames per second, 50 FPS. The new ones, the average was 42. So it's not that big of a difference, and the detail is a million times better. So that's really good. The exterior was the old EJets was average about 70. New EJets average was 58. So I think it's good. You know, I was really worried actually when I was making this. There were so many details. I was like, is anyone going to be able to fly this actually? So I was really worried until I had it all in the sim. But this is like the performance is pretty good.
That's the price you pay for having a good a replica as you can make. It's going to be
Right,
performance
exactly.
versus,
Exactly.
looking like a potato.
But also I spent, sorry for interrupting you.
No, go ahead. Finish your statement.
Yeah, also I was going to say that I spent so much time trying to optimize the resolutions of the textures, because when you have the whole cockpit and you have the whole back, the wall of the back of the cockpit, you know, it's huge. But if you have that on your texture that takes half of your 4K texture, then you're not going to have a lot of texture space left for all other things. So basically, everything in the cockpit has different texture resolutions based on if people look at it, if it needs the detail. So for example, the yoke is going to have a much higher resolution than the underside, like the lower part of the seat, or for example. And that allowed me to really get really high resolution of detail on small things, but still keep a relatively low number of overall textures, which also really helps with the overall look and the performance. So it took a lot of time to figure that out properly. Yeah, that's also part of why it looks so much better, but the performance not so much worse. Yeah.
Somebody was asking about liveries. Are you going to be shipping in it? How much liveries, or any liveries you're going to ship with it when it comes out?
No idea yet. Really, maybe around 10. That's what we usually did before. But I already have people, texting me that we worked before and that they were really like, they can't wait to start painting these. So I'm sure there's going to be loads of liveries very soon after it comes out, and also before, like we'll give them access to it before. So when it's released, there'll already be, 10 liveries included, and then loads of livery packages for free, obviously, available. Yeah, available.
I got you. Now, this is what we'd like to see in the flight sim community. Just improvements on everything that's there already. This will get me flying the ERJ a lot more. Honestly, I don't fly it now, just because the complication.
I don't fly it either.
So, this is going to definitely get me to fly it more. I'm going to ask you the dreaded question, man. Time frame. People are saying, "Hey, when is it coming out?" And and so forth.
Dreaded question, definitely. Like, so as I was already saying, people don't realize how long it takes. So it took me a couple of weeks to make sure that the landing gear is absolutely right, for example. So it's just I don't want to give. I'm just gonna do the usual talk, like I'm gonna tell you that I don't really know, but I really hope that by next Flight Sim Expo, everyone's already going to be flying this. But you don't really know. We don't really know what's going to happen, and I don't want to give promises that then we cannot keep, and then people will be disappointed. But
yeah,
hopefully, it's not going to take too long. And also, this is not just one plane; it's 5 planes, which makes everything a lot more complicated. And we need to think about a lot of things. The plugins are essentially the same, but I also need to do different things for different plane. Still a lot of stuff that needs to be figured out, but I can't really tell you much more. Like we always share updates, and hopefully it won't take. Yeah, that's why I said, like, by next Flight Sim Expo, I hope that everyone's already going to be flying this by some time. But I don't know. It might not happen, so don't take me up on it.
Got you. And the next other question, of course, is Microsoft Flight Sim. Any thoughts, any opinions? I mean, I know you're busy now with this one, but
Yeah.
what about that platform?
I mean, it would be interesting to see them in there. I would, for starters, just want to really see what they would look like in it, because I think they would look really, really cool, because the model is the way it is. But if the rendering engine is better, then it's going to look better. So I would really like to see that. But for now, we don't really have the capacity to abandon this and just not finish this, because like we can't split ourselves, unfortunately, into working day and night nonstop on both platforms. Plus, yeah, we didn't really have time to look into that enough. But I'm open to sometime in the future seeing if there's a way to get them in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Not
That
and not
sounds
that like definitely not that time, not anytime soon. Like for now, the focus is definitely on the next plane.
okay, good. So, I mean, some people ruled it out. They're saying no, but you're saying definitely a possibility. You know, once everything straightens out and see where Microsoft is with development. That's good
I
to know.
mean, it will be great. It will be great. I like if the more people can get hands on these awesome airplanes, the better. Really, we'll just see what opportunities present themselves and to us, and yeah, we'll see.
Good to go. Blue, you there with me, man? I know you're at that
I'm
website.
here. I'm just looking through these screenshots. Like, it's so much detail. I mean, he had the remove before flight flags back there behind the seat. I mean, there's just so many little things. You got the fire extinguisher with all the correct writing on it. Yeah, it's just so many
There's
little
actually some
things.
Easter eggs on the fire extinguisher.
Oh,
Oh,
snap!
no.
Don't tell me
Nice.
that. Reverse.
Somebody was asking about also in chat about the flight modeling, if it's going to have, you know, he said that ERJ has what do you call it? Like a nose pitch up attitude when it's flying and so forth. Who's handling the flight modeling for you? Is it you? Is it somebody else? Who's doing the flight
It's
modeling stuff?
for now it's me, but now there's gonna be another member who's gonna be working on the engine performance, mainly to make sure that it's much more accurate, and hopefully also the flight dynamics of it. So I can split the time a little bit more.
Right. Right.
So yeah, I mean they'll just be overall more accurate, definitely, hopefully a lot more than the
And
previous version.
this is one thing I always want to say. A lot of small planes I feel in X-Plane or in any sim, even in Microsoft, it just feels too much like a paper airplane when you're using your yoke push, you know, in the pitch motion up and down. And, you know, if you guys could hammer that out where it doesn't feel light, you know, because it's
I
a
know what you mean. Yeah,
yeah.
and it's also hard because it's all relative, kind of like none of us really knows unless we're real pilots how
Yeah.
it's supposed to feel. So even for us, it's kind of hard. Like, how do you fine tune something that just like the reference is just the feeling that you have, but everyone's got a different feeling too. But I totally agree. Like a lot of planes feel kind of light, so um, that is something I would like us to look into more. Yeah.
You did say you have a real world pilots helping you working on this?
Yeah, we have loads actually. There, like every day, there's a new EJet pilot that emails me and that would like to help. But there's too many EJet pilots right now, and I feel really bad telling any pilot that I'm sorry, but I can't use you right now. There's too many pilots already. But yeah, I have a group of pilots that are gonna get the plane as like a beta, so they can give us a feedback of what it's gonna be like, what they think about it. I would really like it to be that when they just open it, they should be able to fly without much extra explaining. So that should hopefully explain how the systems are going to be set up, or like the buttons that they use, they should do exactly what they normally would do. Most of the ones that they use most of the time, basically. But yeah, we do have real pilots. We are mainly working with one of them who is a really nice guy and just providing us all the references and yeah, we have the references that we need right now and all the manpower of the pilots.
Oh, somebody earlier on in the chat was asking for existing ERJ customers, is there going to be upgrade price? Is it going to be free to them? Is it going to be a total new product? What are you looking at as far as when it comes out?
So this is going to be a totally new product, but all the existing customers of the EJets, not the ERJs. The ERJs are just like a separate family, so a
Right,
separate
right.
product. group. So yeah, all the previous customers of the E175 2.5 and E195 will get a discount. I didn't figure out yet how much it's going to be because everyone got it. You can get it just one plane at a time or in a bundle, or you can get a whole X-Craft fleet. So it's a bit complicated, but yes, there will be an initial discount for all of those customers.
So, quick question. So you said there's this EJet package is 5 aircraft, correct? And
Yeah.
what is the difference? Because as a person who doesn't know a whole lot about EJets, I think I don't know. For me personally, I don't know much. They all look the same to me. So what's the difference between like what is it? Is the E195? Is it 1.8? Like what are the numbers and what's the difference between the 5 variations?
Yeah, well, they're all different length for starters. So the E170 and E175, they're the shorter versions. They have a set of engines. They have a set of wings that they share, different gear. Then the E190, E195, there are much longer versions. They have different gear. Then the shorter ones, they have different wings, different engines. And then there's the Lineage 1000, which is the E190, but in a business version. So it's going to have, a business, a really fancy interior, basically. And that's going to be really cool. It's going to be like the Legacy 650, which we have in the ERJs right now. And also, for example, the E170, E190, those are the only ones rated for like steep approach. So that's something we'll hopefully have, maybe probably not in the first initial release version, but that's something that's really important to the pilots. Like they really want to fly into London City, for example, and you can only do that with the E170 or E190, where they're landing at I think a 5-degree nose up attitude, basically, and you're landing, you do an approach with the spoilers open, and so yeah, there's a lot of differences. But for example, the cockpit is mainly the same. The Lineage's got more fuel, so the range is bigger. Yeah, those are the main differences, really.
Gotcha. And I have to ask this question to every developer who comes on the show. What are you doing for sound?
Ooh, yeah.
Sound interesting. Yeah, no, we have a guy who made the sound for all the previous products, and he's working on a new updated version of the FMod, basically for the Aegis family, and it's going to use a lot more real recordings. Yeah, that's the plan for now.
Good. I have to ask.
Yeah, it's always good to hear that you're using at least some real recordings. I know you can't record every single thing on it, but the real recording just makes it such a better immersion when you're flying an airplane and hearing it,
Definitely
So
agree.
you've been making this plane now for how many years total? Maybe what, 10 years maybe? How would you say?
I'll tell you actually exactly. Just give me 1 second. So in the wait.
I guess the question is, what don't you know about the plane at this point, since you've been doing it for so long?
It's actually really funny because I only flew on an Embraer about 3 times in my life.
Really?
And the first time it happened, it was maybe 5 years after I've released the first version. And because we don't really have a lot of them in Europe, they're mainly in America and South America. And so I booked a flight on an E195 with Austrian, and it was the weirdest feeling ever, which I cannot explain to you because you know something from inside out, but you've never actually been in it. So I know all the screws where they are. I know everything, but I've never been on the real plane. And then I got to it, and I literally hugged it when I was entering the plane. I was like hi, and then it was just so small. I thought it was so much bigger, but it felt really tiny. And then I kind of looked into the cockpit, and everything was like right here. Instead, I always think it's like somewhere there. You don't really have the sense of scale when you 3D model stuff.
Yeah.
So that was a really weird feeling that I don't think a lot of people can get, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about feeling and touching and distance. Any plans on VR for this stuff?
Oh yeah, this is definitely has to be like a fully VR compatible.
Oh wow.
A lot of people are very happy with the ERJs. A lot of people say that that's their favorite VR plane, which is great, and I hope that's gonna it's going to continue. I actually haven't tried VR yet, especially my planes, and I would love to. It would be very cool, but I feel like because I don't really do that much flying. Steve's got VR, but I don't think he uses it a lot as well. It's like the fancy thing that we developers probably would just have in a corner and not really use it. But it would be great to try it. But that's why we also need testers that do have it, so they can test how well does it feel. How can they manipulate everything. So that's really important. So yeah, definitely VR. We want that.
I have to agree. I am one of those few people who have flown your ERJ aircraft in VR, and it is very, very nice. So, you did a good job.
I'm glad to hear that.
Wow.
The question was how long I've been working on it. For now, I think it was about 2,700 hours.
Jeez.
In the past 2 years. There we go.
Sheesh.
Wow. There's a lot. I mean, it's always amazed me how much time developers put into making stuff, and then you get the questions and the comments and the corrections. How do you deal with criticisms when they come from the community? How do you deal with that?
Well, most of the time, people are quite nice. Actually, my girlfriend says, oh, your community is so nice. They're always really like supportive and nice. It's true. Like most of the time, people are quite nice, and I really appreciate when people come and just say, like thanks. That's amazing. That gives me so much joy, and it really makes my day whenever someone comes and just thanks us. But also, obviously, it's a lot of people who come to, I wouldn't even say criticize. I would say just give us feedback. Something doesn't work. Or something we missed something. But I think people can feel and understand that from our attitude and approach, the way we deal with these comments, that they really respect it. Like we're always open to get the feedback. We always, we understand that we want to provide the best we can. We can always do everything immediately, but we always put it on our to-do list. So I think without the feedback, I would have never really moved from the E195 1.0 really, because how would I know if people didn't tell me that this is all wrong? So I think it's really, really good that we have the community, that they give us feedback, and I think it's important for them to do it as respectfully as possible. Like sometimes you have the odd person, like a troll or someone who just comes in, he just hates whatever you do, and it's hard. It's hard when you put a lot of work into this to not take it personally, but you just cannot, because then you just be miserable. So, but overall, I'm like really, really happy with who we are making plane for.
I do have another kind of a fun question, because this is one of the things that earned a lot of respect from me on your ERJ family, and that is the Easter eggs. This is something that I haven't seen done barely at all from any other developers, any other add-on aircraft in the flight sim community. I mean, I can't really even think of one right now off the top of my head who's done it. And so honestly, when I discovered X-Crafts was the the ERJ family. So when you released that, when I got the 145, the Legacy, still one of my favorite business jets to date right now. But the fact that you put Easter eggs in them was amazing. And then the fact that when you find the Easter eggs, funny things happen. I don't want to ruin it completely. I feel like maybe I can, because you guys in chat should have tried it by now. But still, like, I know you've already mentioned there's a Easter egg in the fire extinguisher of the E-Jet. Like, how much is that on your mind? As far as, like, obviously it's this flight sim, very serious a lot of times about how we want the simulation to work, the FMCs, all that stuff on a serious note. But then you bring in that fun character that kind of shows the character of your company, saying, hey, we got all these these fun Easter eggs within the plane, go find them. And it gives you something fun to do during cruise and through all your flying, stuff like that. So tell me more about, like, how you thought of the idea, like how important that is to you. Like, what do you, without giving it away, like, just tell me more about that.
Definitely. By the way, did you see the Easter eggs in the trailer on Flight Sim Expo?
No.
I'm looking at the trailer now.
I need
so
to
I'm gonna
watch
find while you're talking.
closer.
Well, you're gonna have to. You'll have to open it on your TV, but you'll have to watch it by yourself later. But there are 7 carats hidden in the video.
7 carats. So, you should have been carats. 24 carats. That would
be.
Wow. I like, you asked how important it is. For me, it's really important, because I think I want people to understand that there are people behind these planes. These planes were not made by robots. And I want people to understand that this is a personal thing. This is our passion. And I want them to realize it. I want them to know that there are other totally normal humans that make this. And which I think connects us more to the customers, you know, like when you realize the behind the scenes stuff. That's why also I want us to share all of this, like how we make stuff and behind the scenes, the sliders. I want people to connect with what we do and then hopefully appreciate it more. But the Easter eggs, they're just so much fun. The carrot stuff was really funny because when I was in uni in England, we had to make like a student project, and then our project was in a sci-fi futuristic city, kind of like imagine Blade Runner. And so I had to put some spaceships in a background that are just flying, kind of like hovering, but they were so tiny that when I took a picture of a spaceship and made it really small, you wouldn't really know. It's just a couple of pixels. So I thought, well, it doesn't really matter what's there. So I went online and I just Googled a carrot randomly. And I thought, well, this kind of looks like a spaceship. You know, it's kind of a green smoke in the back and an orange body. Well, let's just put a bunch of carrots there. And then, so I did that. And, you know, it just looks like little spaceships flying around, but they're all carrots. And then that became like a thing. Everyone knew me as like a carrot guy, and I just thought it's just so funny, and I can't stop. Like, I don't know if you've noticed, but I have a carrot right here.
Oh
on
my
my t-shirt.
god!
Easter egg.
Now you're gonna have me start looking for the stuff now.
You
Oh
gotta
my
find
Yeah,
the carrots.
exactly. This t-shirt was made by my most
Right.
amazing girlfriend who sewed it in it. So that is best support ever.
That's amazing.
But yeah, so I started putting carrots in my like student projects, and then when I finished the RJs, I guess I don't know what the first Easter egg was. I think the first Easter egg was the autopilot. You know, the movie Airplane. What is Airplane?
Pilot.
Yeah,
Airplane. Yeah.
autopilot. So I think we even had that in the old EJets. And I just thought, like, once you get to a point where it's almost done, you just kind of a lot less stressed, and I thought this is just like all these ideas came to me. Like, for example, there is a button or a place in the ERJs that you can click on. Suddenly the whole cabin, all the seats, they start rotating in random directions. And I did that because it was a mistake. When I was animating something, this one rotation stayed attached to the seats, but it wasn't supposed to be there. And suddenly the seats started rotating. But the funny thing was that you couldn't see it from the outside because it's perfectly round. So I just thought this is awesome. I need to actually put it in the real plane. So then I did that, and then I started adding other things, and I'm hoping that it shows the personality and our character, and that people can connect with that.
Wow. No, awesome, man. Absolutely awesome. I wanted to ask you also, geez, how long we've been going now? For a minute. Anyway, any for yourself, any real world flying experience? Any wanted to be a pilot? How big of an av geek are you? You know, are you into airplanes that
yeah.
much?
I love airplanes. I don't have like a PPL or anything. It would be great to have a license and just be able to fly myself. I just feel like I wouldn't really be able to find enough time to keep the license. And also it's pretty expensive, I think, in around London as well.
Right.
So I always thought, okay, I'll probably do it when I'm just old and retired and I have a lot of time. But at the same time, I'm really excited about it. Like the last year, I worked on a documentary about plane crashes, and we used a lot of. I just got in touch with was working with a lot of real pilots, and they got me so excited. I thought the next thing I'll do next week, I'll go sign up immediately. But then somehow just didn't get to it. So I would love to at some point. I also think it would help a lot in the development, but I didn't find the time yet.
You could be like Ramsey and get a rating.
Well, that's what I was
ERJ.
thinking about. Actually, that's really awesome. So I have so much respect for that.
That's so cool.
Absolutely, absolutely. Wow, this has been good. This has been enlightening for me. This has been actually my excitement level is more now. I can tell you, just based on what we've looked at and talked about. I'm actually excited about it. That the modeling, number one, is just going to be beautiful. The FMS, FMC, which is important to us, you're going to have choices in that, which is good. And then the sounds, you're updating the F mods on it with real recordings and so forth. I mean, I'm happy with that, man. I'm glad you guys are around in the simming community giving us better airplanes to fly, because that's what we do.
I do want to
You know.
say that I think it's funny because you say that the carrot came a long time ago, just kind of backtracking to that, but also the fact that the plane that you decided to develop was known as the flying carrot. So I thought that was just amazing, you know. But yeah, I agree with XP. I'm actually a lot more excited about this than I was before this show. Now, kind of getting a chance to
Great.
talk to you, getting to learn more about the plane, about what it's been taking to get it done, seeing these before and after pictures. Because honestly, the old ERJ was not good. I was gonna be blunt. Just on today's standards.
Especially a couple of years later now.
Yeah,
Definitely.
by today's standards, it's just not good. And so when I saw you making a new one, I was like, okay, cool, because like, again, I was introduced to X-Crafts on the ERJ family, the ERJ 145, all the way up to the Legacy 650. Again, I've already said I've loved those planes, and I remember thinking back then, I was like, man, I would actually love to fly the E195 if it were at the quality of your 145s. But it wasn't, right? And so I never really got into it. It was some people, other members of my community, who showed screenshots of flying it, and they're loving it, they're enjoying it. But I was just like, it's just not really at the quality that I personally want in an aircraft. But again, to hear you're working on it and building it from scratch, from the ground up, I think it's definitely something I'm looking forward to. And then also, I'm seeing ERJs in real life more often now, and on a day-to-day basis. And I'm like, I wonder what it's gonna be like to fly that in the sim. So definitely excited about it. Again, I'm already right now thinking about where I'm gonna fly in my ERJ 145 because I need to get back into that thing, do some flying in the Jackson Hole or something. But yeah, man, great job, and it's good to see. And I've been seeing it in the chat as well, talking about your progression. Right, you started out knowing nothing about how to develop an aircraft. All you were doing was liveries, and it actually reminds me a little bit about myself. I'm not trying to take over. I'm just want to say a couple of things. I've been just looking at screenshots this whole time, but as a person, and hopefully I can relate to somebody in chat, as a person who kind of dabbles here and there into like 3D modeling, into development, because like I've always kind of wanted to not really develop a plane per se, but just to be able to make something, right? Be able to make a scenery, to be able to make a game, stuff like that. And so for you to say, hey, I started out, I just love this thing, I want to try it out, and now looking at the progress you made, looking at the jets you're making right now that do not look like a beginner jet. Like, this looks like a professional team put this together, right? Like, this is like, I'm not saying, this is like, pilots gonna look at this and like, man, like, this is my office right here in the sim. And so to go from zero to hero like that. Now, again, I know it's been about 10 years and what is it, you said 2,700 hours, something like that. But still, it's inspiring. I just want to say it's inspiring to people, young developers out there, people who are interested in getting into development, kind of proving that, hey, you can do this, just do some research. And you were doing it back before YouTube videos were teaching us how to make, how to use Plane Maker and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So if you guys are in chat and you're somebody who's just kind of like, you're kind of dabbling in it, just kind of let him be an inspiration to you to say, hey, just kind of, keep at it, keep pushing. You may put out a not so great plane in the beginning, right? But it's good, like you had the guy at the store, to give him feedback, to kind of give feedback off of somebody who you respect, who's going to give you constructive criticism and be like, hey, this is a good start, but this is not it, right? So, and then you take that and you don't get offended, you don't hate the person, like, I'm gonna put it on Sim Market instead. No offense, Sim Market. Right? And then you just put it out for $15, and then I make a review saying it's horrible. You know what I mean? So just again, that's kind of what I got from a lot of this conversation, and hopefully you guys in chat, whether you want to develop a plane, a livery, a scenery, a game, an add-on, whatever, just know that you don't have to know how to do it, right? You have an idea. You've been given this amazing idea that you have, that you want to create and that you want to enjoy. You just have to, it's possible. You're seeing other people do it. You can do it too.
Yeah, inspiration. That's what it is.
That's my speech. I'm done for today, guys.
I also really want to give a huge shout out to Steve Wilson, because we talk about a lot, and everyone talks a lot about what you can see, which is the models, textures, and stuff like that. You cannot really see the code and the amount of code that goes, the effort that goes into it. So I would like everyone to, sit and just think about how much work has to go into custom FMS, like a nav map, for example. We're going to have a custom map finally, which was horrible. I hate the nav map that we have. Finally, we're going to have the real thing. We're also going to have that on the EJets. But yeah, the code you can't really see, so it's even harder to realize how much work it was. So yeah, just wanted to give a huge shout out to him and to all the other Xcrafts members.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
And very much I want to thank you to all the testers, because without the testers we couldn't do anything. And we would just release stuff that is just unstable, and so we always spend weeks really beta testing everything. Every single release takes a couple of weeks to be so that we are sure that it's stable enough, and that like we don't want people to get something and then just it's not going to work after the update, and then everyone's unhappy. So yeah, definitely a huge shout out to all the testers.
What's the best way for all of us to keep track of the progress of the project here and so forth? What's the best way?
The absolutely best way is if you sign up to our Not a Newsletter on our website, which is exactly something I started this year, because I just wanted to get closer to the community. I just wanted to just connect more, like bridge the developers and what we do, and the customers, what they think we do, and what they want. And so I started another newsletter, because it's an email that I send out every, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 months. It's not that frequent. It's not a newsletter because I'm not going to be bombarding you with like marketing emails and annoying stuff. This is where I talk about stuff like I talked here today. It's basically the same. I just write it down. So I explain, what it took to make the cockpit dimensions right. Like, what about the gear? Like, we talk about ask for feedback. We ask people, what do they want to see in the new planes? What do they see in other add-ons which we don't have? So it's really like a channel where I can personally talk to people, and so you're just gonna get it in your inbox and know all the news, and then you can always email me straight back with any other question you might have. That's the best way.
Okay, so that's on xcrafts.com. I just put a link in chat. So xcrafts.com.
Exactly, yeah.
And on the website, you'll see all the detailed pictures that we showed you guys today with the sliders and the comparison from the old to the new and so forth. And you can get a chance to sign up for a newsletter. Absolutely. Beautiful. Anything else you wanted to share with the community before we wrap it up on this one?
Not sure. I think you've exhausted me, guys. Great job on the questions. Really great job. I didn't expect the Easter eggs ones. No, like I'm just here to say, thank you to everyone. Thank you for all the support. Thank you anyone who just tells us that they appreciate the work we do, and we will try to, we're doing our absolute best not to disappoint anyone. We just want to make sure that people know that if they get an Xcrafts product, they will be happy. And if they're not happy, they should just come and chat with us, and then we'll make them happy.
Awesome. Blue.
Yo.
I see you're showing that video. Blue can't get enough of this thing. I'm
looking forward to it. I'm a little hype. Just a little bit.
Nice.
I had a question. Jeez, I always forget when you put me on the spot. It just poof, gone.
No, that's all right, man.
Oh, yes. Actually, there is one thing before we let you go that I must look at. It was on your site. It was one of the comparisons that I thought was hilarious. Let me see if I can find it.
Oh, boy.
Oh, that's a video. Hold on. I don't want to see a video.
Yeah.
Anyway,
this website has a lot of nuggets. This website has a lot of nuggets on it. If you guys take the time and go through it and take a look at it, man. But yeah,
it was to do this one. This is my favorite screenshot of all, and this is why. So you look at the before one. It looks like the front door of a house with a knob right there, and then the new one looks like a proper aircraft
a real cockpit
flight
door,
deck.
yeah.
door. That was my favorite screenshot. And I was earlier, I think Marco was talking, and I was like laughing, but you guys had no idea why. And this is why I looked at the old door, and I was like, that looks like my front door with no windows.
Wow.
But yeah, it's a great job, man. I mean, it's, again, I think one of the things I have been enjoying most about this interview. I mean, there's been a lot of things going on, but the most is just seeing your progress from where you've been and to where you're at, right? Where you've been to how it's going now, and seeing the progress between the old to the new. And this is so cool. It's the perfect example. Again, 10 years of experience. You've gone through different majors. I love how you said that you didn't really, you were in school for something you weren't really interested in, but then you found this and found a way to make it make sense, right? Like you now saw like, all right, maybe I could think of it in this sense, right? So it's just, I'm going to stop there because I could go so much on that subject of people doing things that they don't love for money. But anyways, so
Exactly.
yeah,
It's hard because I even thought I had figured it out, and then I went and from mechanical engineering to VFX. So I was studying VFX, and I thought I'll be a visual effects artist. That's why I'm in London. So then I did that a little bit, and I still found that I just don't have the joy that I have when I make these planes. Like I'm absolutely obsessed with it and addicted. Like I cannot stop working. That's my problem, literally. Like I don't eat enough, probably. I do try to sleep enough because I go to sleep at 10 because I can't wait to wake up and at 6 and do this again, basically. So I did VFX a little bit, and I found out it still wasn't like this. So now I'm fully devoted, and I'm happy. I'm very happy.
It's,
So
it's beautiful because you
yeah.
found the thing that brings you joy, right? Like this is
Exactly.
this project.
Which is so hard.
Yeah, it's hard, but still,
Wow.
like it doesn't feel as much like work because you at least enjoy it. You also are seeing a finished product. You've seen the 3D model, like, okay, this is turned out pretty good. Obviously, there's still probably some coding, some underneath things that need to be taken care of. But as a whole, you can kind of get a visual. You can actually see not physically touch, but virtually touch, right? The finish line. So I think that's definitely inspiring.
Yeah, Marco's the kind of developer I want developing my airplanes.
Yes.
Leaves no stone unturned. Get rid of the girlfriend. Let's go work. That is good. Now, Marco, we absolutely appreciate you coming on the Blu-XPerience, man. We reached out to you. You responded very quickly. You said you wanted to be here and share what you have, and I'm glad you did. I'm glad you stayed up late, probably like 2 a.m. now for you in the morning. But we appreciate it. Definitely appreciate it. So we're going to keep doing this on the show, keep on bringing on the developers of the community here that makes the community work, because without you guys, there is no community. There's just basic airplanes and default stuff that none of us like. So appreciate it, Marco. Absolutely,
Thank
man.
you so much. I really appreciate this, guys. It's been really awesome. I hope I'll be able to come back when the planes are out. We can chat more about that. I'll have
Absolutely.
more to share. But yeah, it's been really nice, and I want to thank you. I really appreciate that you are really connecting us developers to the customers, which is what I'm striving to do. So yeah, thank you again. It's been really cool.
Definitely.
It flew by really quickly too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I told you. When we start talking, it's just gonna keep going, man. But yep, we are good. We look forward to it. I can't wait to get my hands on it and fly the ERJ now. Somebody was saying you should make a checklist in the cockpit so I can actually use a checklist. But,
Yes. Yes.
We already have a
please.
checklist.
You do. You have a checklist already? Oh my God. Yeah. All right. That's good. But that's it, man. I appreciate it so much. Thank you guys in the audience for just coming out and hanging out with us today on another Thursday as we get it going. Appreciate you guys doing. Send the link, listen to it as a podcast on your drive to work and so forth. And we'll be back next Thursday with another show for you guys. Thank you, Marco. Thank you, Blue.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
We are going to be out. I will see you guys next. Blue, what you got coming up, by the way? I didn't ask you that. When's your next
I
stream?
am planning to do a stream tomorrow, but I do not know. I can't say what exactly. So we'll see. Just definitely come back tomorrow for
The
some more.
ERJs, of course.
The ERJs, of
there you
course.
go.
Maybe that's
There
what
you
I'll
go.
do. Maybe we'll hop in the ERJ with
Exactly.
145.
Exactly.
I gotta relearn how to fly it though in 24 hours.
Yep. It's funny when I was in San Diego. When I was in San Diego watching the planes coming in from the parking lot, the first two planes were ERJs, and what I love about it is just the wingtips, man. They just look something special. Beautiful, beautiful plane. Alaska flies a lot of those planes, so
Yeah.
that's going to be one of the deliveries that we drop. But
You know
anyway,
what? Before we, let me slip one last question in.
Okay.
I know all of the work you've done so far has all been ERJs, Embraers. Is there any other aircraft that you're interested in? Not saying that you're going to develop it, but like if you were to develop another plane or want to, in a perfect world that you had a limited time, resources, what plane would that be?
I do actually think it would be the Embraers. Like I
You
grew
can't
to
pick
love them
Embraer.
so
No,
much.
they're taken.
I can't pick.
They've been done by X-Craft. You're not
what about
X-Craft.
what about a 220? It's the same size, but
Not
what
far.
about a 220?
Not far off. They look similar.
Could be.
Yeah,
I
it
think
was
I thought about that at some point, but then I thought we should just make sure that the Embraers are awesome. But
Sure.
damn, this is really hard.
You can't pick Embraer.
If I can't pick that.
Look, you have the ERJ jet market cornered for this flight sim, so that's good.
I have to say, you are
Yeah.
the most dedicated Embraer fan I've ever met in my life. Like you're not like, oh, I might do a Boeing, no, ERJ. That's my, yeah.
Yeah, with a landing gear. Also, these right here are blueprints. Actually, pages from the manual of the ERJs.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You know what? That's what I want for my wall. That's a great idea. I've been holding off putting anything on my office wall. Blueprints
do
for
it.
airliners. That's what I want.
That's really cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Because
Two ideas, landing gear.
I spent like 3 weeks trying to figure out what poster or picture I'm gonna put there, and in the last 5 minutes, I looked somehow at a manual that just hit open. I was like, "This is perfect."
You should
Nice.
get
So,
two landing gear, two main gear, right? Glue it to the top of your ceiling, like the gear came through the ceiling, and just let it hang. That would be so cool.
That'd be good. Wow.
All right, guys, that is it for today's show. Thank you guys so much for coming through again, Marko. It's been amazing, bro. Thank you for answering all of our questions, being transparent with us, sharing your background. It's really cool to meet you. And XP, of course, man, always dope to share this show with you, man. It's been fun. This is episode 12, believe it or not.
Yep.
And like he said, we will be back next Thursday and every Thursday for our weekly live flight sim talk show. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. We'll see you guys next time. We have 3 choices: give up, give in, and give it all you got. Peace, love, and God bless you. We will see you guys next time, next video. Yeah.
Nice.
Peace.
Nice.